Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at BellisioFoods.com/careers.
The Jackson County Fair Board, in conjunction with Total Media, proudly present Neil McCoy. Neil McCoy. Saturday, July 15th at the Jackson County Fair. VIP track access seats now available for only $30, which includes admission to the fair. Get tickets now at JacksonCooHfair.com or at the Total Media Studios in Jackson.
Good Monday morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning show right here on Main Street TV, where it is Monday. It's a beautiful sunny Monday, and it's even sunnier because our friend Pete Wilson is in the studio.
Oh, well, aren't you sweet?
I tried.
That's how you got to be the horse queen all those many
That's
years.
right. I just bribed people.
We won't say how many years ago.
A few years ago.
Okay.
But it is Monday. We're doing the morning news update with our sunny friend Pete Wilson, and you have on your springy shirt and all of that. And so I know that you have tons of stuff. You know, when you come off the weekend, even in a small town, there's a lot of stuff that happens.
There's always stuff.
Stuff
with a capital S.
Yes, absolutely.
And more stuff that you can't even get to.
Yeah.
but anyway, well, we'll dive right in, and we'll start with a pretty interesting story on the law enforcement front.
Okay.
This happened in Wellston.
Okay.
We reported it in our Saturday edition. Of course, it's online as well. But this happened back on June the 7th, which was a week ago last Wednesday. And what happened was a local funeral director in Wellston has been cited for impersonating a police officer. Now, that's not a real serious crime as far as level. It's a first-degree misdemeanor.
Okay.
But what happened was, this was according to the Wellston Police Department. This is where we got our information. About 6:22 p.m. on the evening of Wednesday, January the 7th, a young man who was driving a vehicle in an apartment complex off D Street in Wellston went to the Wellston police after he was pulled over by a ambulance that had the amber lights going, they have the lights on top, just like a law enforcement vehicle. But anyway, this ambulance pulled him over after there was an incident in a parking lot.
Okay.
And the young man felt that he shouldn't have been pulled over, or it wasn't, the person who pulled him over wasn't authorized to pull him over. And so he went to the Wellston Police Department about it, filed a report. And as a result, Richard Michael Williams, better known as Michael Williams, who is the owner-operator of the R.M. Williams Funeral Home in Wellston, has been charged with impersonating a police officer. According to the police report, the young man, and his name was not in the report, so we could not share that, stated that he had been stopped by a white Cadillac station wagon, the driver of which turned out to be Mr. Williams, claimed that he worked for the coroner's office. The tag of the Cadillac returned to the R.M. Williams Funeral Service, which is located at 120 West Broadway Street in Wellston. According to the report, the officer who handled the complaint had prior knowledge that the owner of the R.M. Williams Funeral Service, of course, Richard Michael Williams, had worked with the Vinton County Coroner's Office at one time. Of course, we're in Jackson County, not Vinton County, as far as authority is concerned. He did check with the Jackson County Coroner's Office to see if, at this point, Mr. Williams was affiliated with the Jackson County Coroner's Office, because a coroner, at least, I don't know about an employee, but a coroner has law enforcement authority. Mm-hmm. He is not affiliated with the Jackson County Coroner's Office, according to what the Jackson County Sheriff's Office relayed to the Wellston Police. Now, Later that same evening, Mr. Williams did call in to the police department about this incident. He explained that he had been driving through the parking lot of this apartment complex off D Street in Wellston when a vehicle backed out in front of him. That was this young man who had filed the police complaint.
Okay.
He felt that, this was kind of like a reckless action by the driver, and it caused him to spill his beverage. So he was unhappy. He then proceeded. The young man who was driving the other vehicle left the parking lot. According to Williams, he sped out of the parking lot. Williams admitted that he was angry, so he pulled out behind the vehicle, turned on his vehicle's blue and amber flashing lights, and stopped the other driver. From there, Williams reportedly pulled up beside the victim's vehicle and confronted him about the incident. He states that he did inform the individual. Now, I'm not a law enforcement officer, and this is not a patrol car. He qualified that. But he did hold him for about 3 minutes, I'm guessing unhappy and lecturing him about his driving.
Sure.
The victim told police that he had been pulled over for about 3 minutes during this stop. As a result of the investigation by the Wellston Police Department, they filed a case with the Jackson County Municipal Court for impersonating a police officer on June the 12th. That's 5 days later.
Okay.
Williams has already appeared in court. He pleaded not guilty, released on recognizance bond. The matter is now set for a pretrial on July the 19th. So kind of an unusual case. Obviously got a lot of attention there on our social media when we posted that.
A little bit of road rage there, it sounds like.
Right. It does sound like that. And so, from a legal standpoint, I guess Mr. Williams, according to his own testimony, he said up front that he's not a police officer, but he did apparently pull him over.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens on that. But anyway, we report the news, and a criminal case was filed, and this is a little bit of an unusual situation.
All right. That is definitely unusual.
Right. We will stay in the city of Wellston on another matter. This came out of the last Wellston City Council meeting. Members of Wellston City Council conducted first readings. Now, a legislation, normally, an ordinance or a resolution, the normal process is for it to go 3 readings.
Right.
That is to give council and the public time to respond and weigh in before council takes a final vote. And this involves salaries of Wellston city officials.
Okay.
Currently, the mayor of Wellston, and that is Anthony Brenner, the mayor of Wellston earns a salary of $20,000 a year. The city auditor earns a salary of $36,000 a year. The city treasurer earns a salary of $5,000 a year. These are the 3 positions that would be affected by this proposed legislation. The 3 ordinances that were proposed at the last council meeting would adjust the salaries as follows: $50,000 for the mayor, so it would go from $20,000 to $50,000. $35,000 for the auditor, so that is actually a $1,000 decrease. And the treasurer would also be paid $35,000 a year. That is a big jump from $5,000.
5 to 35, yeah.
5 to 35. I think that nominally, and maybe it can vary. I'm not sure it's written into the legislation or the law, but these are generally considered full-time positions.
I was going to say, who would be a treasurer for $5,000 a year?
Well,
wow.
I don't know what the salary is in Jackson, but I know that it is considered a part-time position in Jackson. Tom Evans, former mayor, holds that position and has for some time, and it's not a full-time job. So I guess maybe the duties in different cities could be different on what is expected of the position or whatever. But Peg Barber is currently the treasurer of the city of Wellston, has been for some time.
Okay.
She is not running for re-election. She has said that she is planning to retire. And Anthony Brenner, who is the mayor of Wellston, has told council, there's no way we're going to get somebody to do this job for only $5,000 a year. So that's why they want to change that one. On the mayor's position, sometimes in a small town, a mayor may not be full-time. It may be a part-time job. Maybe the mayor is doing something else. It's certainly, obviously, a very important position. In practice, right now, Anthony Brenner is full-time in Wellston. He was full-time when he was the service director.
Yes.
And, of course, he took the mayor's position when Charlie Hudson resigned.
Right.
And then Mayor Brenner was appointed, by the Republican committee and then elected in the primary.
Yeah.
And there's no opposition in November. So he is going to continue as mayor probably, unless there's a write-in candidate or something. So council wants Brenner to have a fair full-time wage. That's why we're talking about going from 20 to 50.
Okay.
In the city of Jackson, we recall that became a controversy several years ago when the salary was $25,000 and it was up to $50,000 all at once. But the on the auditor's job, that's considered full-time. And why they want to knock that from 36 to 35, I'm not exactly sure. I didn't hear that explanation, but it would be about the same. But that's the reason why the salaries would be increased for the mayor and the treasurer, because the council considers those jobs to be full-time jobs, or at least the remuneration as it currently is, the compensation is inadequate.
Okay.
And you need people to run these positions.
For sure.
Now, the reason that it's being done now is that by state law, you can't change a salary in term, meaning that if you waited till next year, you would have to wait another term before the mayor would make that higher salary.
I see.
So
Okay.
if you want the treasurer, the auditor, and the mayor, you want those salaries to reflect what they think is more.
Now's the time to do it.
You have to do it now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it looks like you're feathering your own nest.
Gotcha.
When you're already in there.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens on that. But we have not had that story in the paper yet. We're talking about it now, but it will be in our Wednesday paper. And once again, an introduction. That legislation was introduced at the last council
So
meeting.
did they take any votes on that?
They did not take any votes. Normally on a first reading, they won't. They'll just put the legislation on the table. And just because they put it on the table doesn't mean that it's going to pass. But the chances are that some members of council do approve that, unless it came from the administration.
Okay.
And the administration said, let's present this to council. But according to Phil Buffington's reporting, and he did monitor the meeting, there was not a lot of discussion on that. They just put it out there. And I'm talking about it now, and we're going to put it in the paper, even though it hasn't been approved, because the public has a right to weigh in on that.
Okay.
So, they may be just
Sure.
fine about it, or they may say, now, wait a second. I don't get my salary doubled. You know how it is when they look towards
I
government
know.
or whatever. Sometimes they look with a jaundiced eye at that sort of thing. So we'll see what happens there.
Okay.
Speaking of finances and Wellston on the school board level, the Wellston City Board of Education at their last meeting quietly ratified a new contract, a 3-year contract for the Wellston Teachers Association. That is the union that represents all the teaching employees in Wellston. And what they approved was a new 3-year contract that will take effect July the 1st, 2024. So they did it a year ahead of time, but it will be for the next 3 years from July 1st, 2024. And it will be increases of 3%, 2%, and 2%. So 3% the first year, 2% the second year of the contract, 2% the third year of the contract. So those are step increases. Other things will be the employee share of the insurance costs, health insurance. That's always a big ticket item for anybody, including governments. The employees will now have to pay 13% instead of 12%. So they'll pick up just a little bit more of the health insurance costs.
Okay.
That has been a strategy that I've noticed on school boards and public governments, as they feel, I think that the governments feel, and I don't know whether this has been a problem or not, but I'm guessing that they feel it has been, when you provide 100% insurance coverage, there's no incentive to be judicious in using your insurance. Would you guess that might be the case?
Yeah.
But if you're paying part of it, you might be a little bit more careful about how much you use it.
Okay.
So it has gone from some of these governments offering 100% health insurance to offering 90% or 95%, and now at Wellston it's going from 88% to 87%, which that's still covering most of your health insurance costs. And in the private sector that usually doesn't happen, of course.
No.
So anyway, those are some of the important things that are happening behind the scenes in Wellston.
Okay.
All right, in the city of Jackson, the paving program continues, the McKee Paving Company, and they announced on Friday evening not McKee Paving, but the city did, the next targeted streets for paving.
Ooh, okay.
So here's where they're at. Globe Street from High Street to Bennett Avenue, Tropic Street from High Street to Bennett Avenue, the Brookside Alley, Brookside Drive, which is kind of like an alley there off David Avenue,
Okay.
Kenwood Avenue from South Street to Brookside, Fleetwood Avenue from Orange Street to the end, West Lawn Avenue from South Street to the end. So we're still on that southwest end of town. This will be the third week of the paving, and they have been all on that end of town so far, but they'll be going other places before the end of the summer.
Do they say when that should be complete? That chunk?
Well, they are very careful about saying that because if it rains, they can't pave. If it rains a little bit and dries up, then they can pave. But if you get a solid day of rain, you're rained out.
This weather's starting to really get annoying because I have to seal my concrete patio, and every day I'm like, today's the day, and then all of a sudden this rain pops back into the forecast. And I'm like,
I know. It's
man, could we just get like a guaranteed day that it's not going to rain?
I think the forecast is pretty good for the next week overall. They talked about maybe having a little rain this morning. I don't know whether we actually got it or not.
Yeah,
it's supposed
interesting.
to clear up.
It changes all the time. So
It
let's
does,
see what it says.
You have to keep looking at the phone for sure.
You do. Yeah. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah.
Okay, pretty good.
So this afternoon into like 10 o'clock.
Right, exactly. And if you're in those paving areas, the important thing is, of course, if you're driving, I mean, you navigate your way through there.
Yeah.
You might not be able to get through at some points in the day when they're paving. But the big thing is, if you're visiting those houses along the street or you live there, you cannot park along the street because they have to pave.
Sure.
So park in the driveway, park in the grass, park on the next block.
Right.
Um,
It's going to be a very short inconvenience.
No parking signs will be posted, and when they post those signs, don't park there because even if they're not there, they may be there before the end of the day.
Exactly.
So be careful on that. Okay, here's another thing from the city of Jackson that came out of the last council meeting, and they consider this important. This is kind of the third warning on this, and that is house numbering. All right.
Okay.
The city of Jackson administration and council backs them up on this. This really comes from the police department and the fire department and the EMS. They feel that there's too many addresses in Jackson that you cannot see from the street.
Okay.
So if EMS, police, or fire get called out to a certain address on South Street or whatever, and they're not familiar with where that address might be, or the addresses sometimes don't make sense, which is true in an older town.
Yes, it is.
So
none of them make any
where
sense.
is 200 South Street? So they're looking for an address from the street that's legible. On the house, on a mailbox, on the sidewalk out in front. Too many houses do not have this. It is now a city law. Council passed it in when did they pass it? In 2021, 2 years ago. And there is a legal requirement to have a visible address number in place. And that was as of 2021.
Okay.
So
that shouldn't be that hard, Pete.
It shouldn't be that hard. But according to David Swackhammer, the service director, this is how he said it. It still continues to be an issue. Quote, "We have not had much luck in getting homeowners to take on that responsibility, at least not those who are continuing to avoid it. So what do we do now?" Quote, "There is a violation section. It's a misdemeanor. There is a $100 fine." I think what they're going to do is they talked about doing some mailings. I think they're going to, I don't think it's going to be, even though it's out there, they could do it. I think they're going to mail a warning to people that don't have the visible addresses. It's going to take some legwork. The code enforcement officer, maybe police, maybe, some other city folks are going to notice where these are, and they're going to start sending letters out. And if you don't fix it within a certain amount of time, you're probably going to get charged. And that will send the message that they're serious about this house numbering thing.
Yeah.
Now, some people have probably complied, but that was kind of like they were giving you, they were letting you do it on your own, even though there was a law passed in 2021. But he brought it up in 2022, Mr. Swackhammer did, and now a year later he's bringing it up again, and I think that some enforcement teeth are going to follow this time.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's for your own safety, right? You call 911 and you need help. If they can't find your house, it's going to... Why would you not put a house number on your house?
No, it's really to
So
help
weird.
yourself in case of an emergency, because, especially If you have,
Listen.
well, anyone, EMS, police, or fire, if you need them to get to your house like pronto,
Yeah,
and they're looking, and they're on the wrong block or something, that could be the difference.
And and you're exactly right on these small towns. It's like even some of the downtown buildings and stuff. Sometimes the address is East Main Street. Sometimes the address is just Main Street. Sometimes it's like it's hard to find sometimes.
No,
No,
it is. Like for my house, I'm 253 West South Street. I do have a legible address, by the way.
Good boy.
Visible. But there's a 253 East South Street too. And so at a lot of places, especially on some of the older streets, the addresses don't make sense.
Well, and I know.
I mean, as far as a logical progression.
For example, the production facility that we have in the downtown building, the auditor has it at 215, but that building has gone by 211 always.
Mm-hmm.
But the auditor's site says 215, so that's what I went with because that's what the auditor's site said. But it's like super confusing in some of this stuff.
No,
You're like, what is it? I don't know.
It really is. And a lot of the longer streets have both west and east ends or north and south.
And sometimes it's just Main or south or whatever. And then sometimes there's an east or a west attached to it. Who knows?
Right, exactly.
So it does get confusing.
All right. Well, let's go to something a little bit lighter right now. Of course, we got all the 4th of July stuff coming up.
Yes.
It's going to be
this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be spread in our 3 local communities. It's going to be spread from Friday through Tuesday. Friday the 30th. That's when the first day of the 3-day Vinton County celebration starts, the boosters up there. And there'll be things on the 4th, too, in Oak Hill. That's when they wrap up with their big fireworks, and that's the final day of their 3-day deal.
Okay.
And then there's a 4th of July parade in Wilkesville. But then all in between, there's all sorts of things. And we're going to pin it down. We had a big article in our Saturday paper, kind of.
I saw that.
Kind of detailing
mapping
this.
it all out.
It's all there. It's
Yeah.
all there and online as well. And we'll talk about more of that next or later in the week when we get right to it. But I do want to reveal who the Miss Vinton County contestants are.
Okay.
We have their pictures in the paper on Saturday. And I've got James over there all primed up to show their photos. But are you ready over there, James?
He's
Okay,
ready.
well, here are the names. We'll see how quick on the draw
We'll
he
see
is.
if he can do it. You're out of practice, James, so we'll see how he does with pushing buttons.
He was pretty good before.
I think so.
There's 13 candidates for Miss Vinton County.
Holy moly.
And here they are. Allison Champion, Delaney Scarberry, Brooklyn Burns, Jordan Zinn, Jamie Beatty, Cassidy Graham, Camden Ackley, Emma Davidson, Natalie Pauley, Olivia Schroeder, Emma Todd, Cadence Graves, and Leela Barnes. Yay, James. How about that?
Way to go, buddy.
13 of them. Now, let me tell you this.
That's a lot of girls trying.
Right.
out.
And I tell you, they're pretty girls. Am I allowed to say that?
Oh, I think so.
They really are. They really are.
I
So
know.
that'll be tough for the judges. But that contest, which goes way back in Vinton County as part of their Athletic Boosters 4th of July
Yeah.
celebration, it will be on Saturday, July the 1st at 7 p.m. at Vinton County High School. Several years ago, they started to make some of these 4th of July events indoor, which is safer, of course, because of weather, whether rain or heat or whatever. It's not all out on the football field like it used to be.
Okay.
So this is 7 p.m. on Saturday, the Miss Vinton County contest.
Okay.
Pageant. It is open to the public. And let me tell you, these girls all have sponsors. It's a great contest, just like the Wild Turkey Festival pageant is. They
Yes.
really go to lots of lengths to make it special. But now listen to what these girls will get. I mean, it just isn't the ego and the pride of being Miss Vinton County. If you're Miss Vinton County, you not only get the crown, the sash, the scepter, a bouquet, a trophy, and memorial pins, but you get a $1,000 scholarship.
Whoa.
I mean, that is really nice.
That's
The-
awesome.
The first attendant, a $500 scholarship. The second attendant, a $300 scholarship.
Nice.
But Anyway, that event is on Saturday night. The Vinton County Athletic Boosters will start on Friday, and their events will go Friday through Sunday. But
Cool.
like I say, we will talk more about all the 4th of July stuff later in the week when it's right in front of us. All right, a couple of other things to talk about. We'll stay in Vinton County. The Vinton County National Bank construction has actually started on their new
Woohoo!
bank building.
All right.
And this is in downtown MacArthur at 203 West Main Street. And Randy Evans Construction, who built the Jackson County Banking
Yes, it
Center,
is awesome.
they are going to build this one too. It's just barely started. It will be open sometime in 2024. I'm not sure they pinned that date down or they're willing to share it yet, because you know how that goes sometimes,
I do.
construction projects. But this will be a
I'm well aware.
Okay. It sounds like you have some insight there. This is a $2.6 million bank building, and it will be a tribute to the county's lumber and tourism industry. They'll have that design that kind of looks like a lodge.
It's
it
really
doesn't
cool.
look like a stay-at-old concrete bank building. It'll be very nice.
It's beautiful.
And remember, this is where the former McClure's restaurant is, right along the main drag there, a little, farther west on Main Street. But the facility at 112 West Main Street in downtown MacArthur, almost right on the corner there where the stoplight is, it will remain open, but it will be strictly staff working there. Everything retail will be at the new place.
Okay.
So we've got a couple pictures. It's not all that exciting, but they have actually started. And of course, we will be watching that all along.
Very good.
Exactly. Speaking of new things, down here in Jackson, the new Pho restaurant has opened. Did I say that right?
Pho.
Pho, the new Pho restaurant. I got to
Yes.
brush up on my Vietnamese.
Vietnamese, yes.
There is one of the dishes.Alex Shope bought this so he could take a picture, and I'm pretty sure that he ate it. By
I'd
the
say
way.
so. Pho is awesome.
But that is you've had it then.
Oh, all the time, yeah.
Okay.
But you used to have to go to the big city to get it or make it yourself.
Well, I'll put you on the spot. because I eat American food. I'll eat anything.
Yeah.
But what is the difference between Japanese, Chinese, and Vietnamese? Is there much of a difference?
Yeah, I think it's just like any ethnicities. They use different spices and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But pho is delicious, really good for a hangover. If you ever have one of those.
What exactly is it?
So it's like pho is kind of cool because you can use different broths. So like typically I would get it's like a beef broth, and then
Okay.
you can choose your proteins as well. They have like the broth has different spices in it. It has anise in it. It has some other things in it. And then there's rice noodles.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll bring you out a plate, and then like typically a protein. So like chicken or beef. I always get like the thin sliced
So
beef.
you have some choices there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't been to the new place yet here, so I'm not sure what the choices
Well, I think
are.
they've done pretty good for a starter.
And a lot of times they'll have, the authentic Vietnamese pho's they use kind of all the animals. So they'll do like tripe and all kind of stuff that people put in there. So, but then they'll bring you out a plate of like different herbs. So like basil, sometimes mint, and then bean sprouts and different things. You can put hot sauce in it, or you can put like oyster sauce in it, or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Whatever your tastes are, you can doctor it up.
Well, I tell you what,
kind of like salt and pepper
I
or
would
whatever.
have trouble the first time because I wouldn't know what to do.
You know what gets me? The chopsticks. I'm horrible at chopsticks.
Well, that might be a cancel for me.
If
then.
you're real sweet,
I'll bring
a lot of
I'll
times
bring
they'll
a
bring
fork
you
or
a
spoon
fork
in my pocket.
Yeah.
I'll
You'll
do that
have
in my pocket.
they will give you a chopsticks and a spoon, obviously, because it's like a soup. But if you're real nice, they'll give you a fork too.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Sounds like you know what you're talking about there.
Yeah, I'll take you over, Pete. How's
Okay,
that?
well,
We'll go
I'd
through the
like
pho
to- I'd
experience
like to do that.
together.
259 Chillicothe
Yes.
Street. That's a little bit off the beaten track of where a lot of the retail is in Jackson, but it's the old Western Auto Store.
Yep.
There, and it's a kind of an interesting
It's
group
a
of
very
businesses there.
interesting building, for
A
sure.
hand car wash.
Yep.
A sign company. a boba tea hut.
Uh-huh.
Those are the four that I can think of, right?
A nail salon and a
and-
computer repair shop
That's
and a
right.
tattoo
Oh, my.
parlor.
And they have pretzels.
And pretzels. Oh,
And they
yeah.
have pretzels?
Well, they have a picture of a pretzel out there on their
Oh.
sign.
And yeah, all of that is
Okay.
under one roof. It's really kind of cool if you go in. I've only been in there once, but it's really cool.
I would hazard to say there couldn't be that combination anywhere else.
I would say you're exactly right. But they pulled it off. So
All right. Well, speaking of food, that segues us over to the community garden, which
yes.
is back in
yeah,
Jackson.
that's awesome.
It's in a new place. Of course, this is the Jackson County Municipal Courts Community Garden. There is what it looked like about a week ago. I took the picture. As you can see,
oh,
the garden
it's way
is,
bigger than that
the
now.
garden is growing. Two things different about the community garden, Jen. It's in a new place.
Yes.
It's in a lot that Nia Henry donated next to the filling station off Main Street.
Okay,
There,
yep.
At the foot of the hill. You can see, you can easily pass it and not see it, but it's there. And there is a sign there to show that it's there. And they are using raised beds this
Yeah,
year,
they are.
which they feel will increase production and decrease the amount of people needed to man the garden,
Yeah.
to maintain it,
Sure.
water it, all that deal. And of course, the concept of the community garden, it's good in a number of ways. Judge Music, who is very progressive on the rehabilitation, this is a form of community service where you work the garden if you're working off your
Sure.
your one of your terms of probation on the community service. So you work the garden, you plant the garden, you maintain the garden, you pick the vegetables, you plant the flowers, all that stuff, and then he donates the food to worthy places,
Yes.
food banks and the food pantry and
People
like
in
that.
need, yes.
At least in the past, that's what
Sure.
he's done. I'm sure he'll do it, and I think that they allow the probationers to get a little bit of the crops,
The
that they
fruits
helped
of their
raise.
labor, pun intended.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's the community garden that Judge Mark Music does down there
awesome.
on
Love
Main
that.
Street. All right. I've been wanting to say this for a while, and we've always run out of time. I have to give a salute to the Buckeye Hills Community Center and Dr. Jamie Nash,
Uh-huh.
who is the superintendent out there, and the board members, the whole staff. The Buckeye Hills Community Center, it's 15 miles away or so, and so it's not right in our face, but they are doing some great work
Oh,
there.
yes, they are.
And this came out during, they put this news release out after their most recent graduation of their students there. But they had 491 students. This group of 491 students is comprised of 290 who completed high school career programs,
Wow.
201 who completed adult education programs. And these students together earned a combined 1,667 industry recognized credentials that align directly to Ohio's in-demand jobs. There at the
That's
podium,
awesome.
that is Jamie Nash speaking at what is the same as their graduation ceremony that
Sure.
was there in May. But he put out those numbers, and that shows you just
Wow.
how many people now are taking advantage of what the vocational school offers,
For
whether it's at
sure.
the high school level or the adult level. And this is a trendy thing that makes so much sense.
It
It is
totally-
aligning education directly with jobs.
With the workforce.
Right, exactly. And so, in addition to the 206 students at the Buckeye Hills main campus, an additional 84 students now are completing satellite programs offered at the home schools. The home schools, of course, you've got the River Valley High School and Gallia Academy in Gallia County. Of course, you've got Jackson, Wellston, Oak Hill in Jackson County, and you've got Vinton County High School in Vinton County.
Okay.
And so more and more students from these home schools are going to the vocational school now. And I talked to, when I got my hair cut, they have a cosmetology program
Yeah.
down at Buckeye Hills. And as soon as those students graduate, they're getting snapped up
absolutely.
into the workforce. And,
Yeah.
you're talking about some pretty good wages for some of those positions,
Sure.
welding and so forth.
Oh, my goodness.
And now the nursing students that are coming out of there,
Yep.
very, very much high in demand. So can't say enough about the work. I mean, it's a trend that's going on everywhere, but I think maybe at our Buckeye Hills Career Center, even more so, Jamie Nash really on the front end of making that happen. He is such a good ambassador for vocational education. I think there was maybe a little bit of a separation I think there was certainly something of a stigma maybe with vocational education. That doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so congratulations to them. Speaking of education, at one of the most recent school board meetings, they're completing their staff for the next school year. At the Jackson City Board of Education meeting, they hired a new teacher, and she came to the school board meeting. Her name is Jordan Bapst. And there she is. She's right in the middle there. That's Tyler Swackhammer, the Jackson High School principal on the left, Superintendent Phil Howard on the right. And I have a lot of respect for Jordan Bapst because she is going to teach Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. She would have really had a problem with me if we wind the clock back and she would have been there in the mid-70s. Somehow my teachers got me through those classes, but I did not find them easy. I did not find them practical.
Yeah.
That's heresy, I know.
No,
But,
I get it.
But anyway, Jordan Bapst, she comes, by the way, to the Jackson City Schools from the Pike Eastern School District.
Very
and
good.
She is a new Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 teacher, so good luck to her. All right, speaking of new teachers, at the Vinton County Local Board of Education meeting, the most recent meeting, they made some new hires in conjunction with the new school year. And one of the new folks is a new band director, and that is Avery Baumfield. That is Avery on the left. Avery is with somebody who may be familiar to the Jackson City Schools and the music program. That is Sam Kugel.
Uh-huh.
Sam is there on the right, and he's obviously very happy to have Avery Baumfield, Bamfield, as the new assistant band director and elementary music teacher.
Awesome.
Avery is taking the position of Katie King, who, of course, was at Vinton County and now is the band director at Wellston.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
All right, we want to remind you that the Jackson County Republican Party is having their Lincoln Day dinner. That's their big coming out party.
Okay.
Probably raises a little bit of money, but it's more about being a mixer for the politics. They always try to get a high-profile speaker, and they've done it again.
They sure did.
Brad Winstrup
Yeah.
will be the speaker. And I tell you, he has been on the national news a little bit lately. He's on that subcommittee that's looking into COVID and how the government handling it, and he's looking at it from a critical angle, that some of the decisions that were made were not good and why they were made and like that. I don't know whether that's what he will address when he's here Thursday, but he will be the keynote speaker. That event will be at the Family Life Center of the Christ Church here in Jackson. Tickets are available. They cost $40, and you just need to contact Bren Stepp, or if they have tickets available, you can show up at the door. It will be catered by Rowdy's. But there'll be some local awards as well. All right. Let's see. What else can we tell you about? Jeremiah Shaver will be in here in just a few minutes to talk about a couple of events that he covered these last 2 days. But one of the other things we want to tell you about is a big event held by the Jefferson Howe Post 81 of the American Legion here in Jackson.
Okay.
That post was formed right after World War I. It was in 1921. They wanted to do a 100th anniversary celebration then. Well, you know why they didn't, right? Can you say it?
The old C word.
The old C word, COVID.
Yep.
Well, they weren't going to let this grand opportunity pass without celebrating. So 2 years late, they had a 100th anniversary celebration.
Oh, that's so good.
There are some of the more senior Legion members. I think they've all been post commanders at Post 81. They were there at this event that was at the DAV. Alex Shope was there. He's written a great story that we're going to get in the paper this week. But from left to right, if you're looking at the picture there, we want to give these gentlemen some credit because they've been bulwarks of the American Legion Post in Jackson. Kurt Hughes, Charles Wyant, Arnold Tripp, who, of course, is also the Veteran Service Officer in Jackson, George Kitchen, Paul McGee, Marshall Beatty, Larry G. McInnes, Blaze McDaniel, Greg Irvin, Kevin Compston, and Robert Bragg.
Yep.
And it was a grand event there, very upbeat. And they talked about all the things that the American Legion has done, not just, as a place to go for veterans and to serve veterans, but in the community. They've really done some great things in the past. They've sponsored Legion baseball team. They sponsored kids to Buckeye Boys State and Girl States. They've done other things in the community to support the community. At one time, they had a band way back when. Hey. And the Legion, a lot of people don't know this, they were one of the moving forces in getting the memorial building built back in 1937. And for a while,
That's right.
that was where the Legion was.
I think I told you that. I was a member of the baton twirling Legionettes way back in my heyday.
You mean in addition to being the Horse Queen?
Yes, that was pre-Horse Queen days.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that I didn't know was in your repertoire.
Yeah, so we practiced at the top of the memorial building, and that's
Right.
where the Legion met.
Yes, that's where they met. That's where they met. Of course, they sold their post home out there on Morton Street to the Republican Party, but according to Alex's story, they still are able to use it because the Republican Party, they'll use it as a campaign headquarters, a meeting place, but a lot of times, they don't. There's not activity going on in there.
Sure.
So I think they're helping each other there.
First time I've ever seen a urinal.
Oh, really? Okay.
We were all fascinated by the urinal.
That was an eye opener.
Yeah, when you're third and fourth grade or whatever, you're like, what is that thing for?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. So you got to go in the restroom, right?
Well, yeah, because it was just a bunch of little girls up there. They had
And
the
there's
boys.
only one restroom.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I just remember there being urinals, and we were like, what is that?
Yeah.
So I'm sure some of the mothers had to explain to us why that was a thing. But
All right. Well, let's go to music now. Last Saturday evening, there was a concert at the Marquee.
Yes.
It was a group that parodies Fleetwood Mac.
Yep.
And James Hamilton was there.
James was there.
Red Thompson Jr. was there, and the reviews are great. I mean,
Oh, yes.
it was very good attendance and a very good concert as well. James took some pictures that he's showing us at least one of them there now. But James, I know you know a whole lot more about Fleetwood Mac than I did. How would you grade the experience?
Oh, they sounded fantastic. It was a great show. If you've not been to a concert at the Marquee, you need to check one out. It was a fantastic show. This is a group that they do a lot of different tribute acts. They were at the Marquee last year. They did their Journey tribute. They were also at the Apple Festival last year doing the Journey tribute. They were back at the Marquee this past Saturday doing the Fleetwood Mac tribute. And they will be back at the Marquee again in August, I believe, doing the Journey tribute again. So lots of opportunities, to get out and see it. Great show, great venue. 6 cents beer was on sale.
Whoop, whoop. Thanks, James.
But it was a great show. It was fantastic.
All right. Well, I tell you what, it seems like, and the pattern is pretty consistent. The tribute artists do pretty well at the Marquee. I look at Dwight Eisenhower.
Oh my gosh, he's been sold out now
concert on Saturday. Is it sold out?
Yeah.
Concert on Saturday, it usually does sell out.
Yeah.
So
but you think about these artists. So, there's only one Stevie Nicks. There's only, one Mick Fleetwood or whatever his name was. Was that his name? But these artists are coming in and able to do tributes to all of these bands, and they're, doing this all themselves. And it's like, holy moly, how talented of a musician do you have to be able to mimic, all of these super famous.
I didn't realize that this group does more than one.
They do, yes.
I would think you'd really have to try hard to specialize in just
Correct.
one.
I mean, doing one would be hard enough, let alone doing numerous ones.
Right. I'm impressed by that. Well, speaking of concerts at the Marquee, the previous week, the D.M. Davis Male Voice Choir and the D.M. Davis Ladies Choir, and there is a shot from that. The gentleman in the foreground there is William C. Bill Martin, very well-known local attorney, and he has added really a nice touch of class to these concerts because he does narration. He does a very good job reading, and I understand that Ralph Brown, who is one of the directors for the men's group, he writes the narration.
Oh, okay.
So, it really is not only the music, but the narration too, kind of like a story theme to these concerts.
Cool.
But this concert was held a week ago, Saturday, at the Marquee. And, whatever concert they have at the Marquee, like James said, what a great venue. It is so beautiful. They have great equipment. The seats are so comfortable.
Yes.
And more people need to take advantage. And usually they are hometown prices. certainly.
Yes.
Like the concert for the American Songbook was like $5 in advance.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Crazy.
All right. On the sports side, we want to tip our hat. And we had a big story in our Saturday paper. Give credit to Todd Compton for going out and getting this story. Oak Hill's Caitlin Brisker. Have you heard that name?
Yes.
Well, there is Caitlin playing shortstop for the University of Rio Grande softball team. Caitlin was one of the best female athletes to come out of Oak Hill High School in the last decade, for sure. And she was I think a three-sport person at Oak Hill, but she was especially good. I'm not sure about the volleyball, so I may have to correct myself on that, but she definitely was a great basketball player and a great softball player.
Okay.
And when she first went to the University of Rio Grande, she tried to do both, but she came to the conclusion that it was just a little bit too much, even though she was excelling in both sports.
Sure.
The last couple years, she's played just softball, and what did she do? She helped her team to a 35-16 overall record. She had a .408 batting average, had 5 home runs, 36 runs batted in, stole 25 out of 26 bases, and she was a first-team selection on the all-conference team and was honorable mention on the NAIA All-American team.
Wow.
This is a great local
You go,
success.
girl.
This is a great local success story that you maybe don't hear as much about unless you're close to Oak Hill and close to the family, and you follow Rio Grande sports closely. So we wanted to share what a great job that Caitlin Brisker has done at the collegiate level. And she could have probably gone other places, but she wanted to play close to home, and it has really worked out for her.
That's awesome.
She is a junior, just finished her junior year. She's very much looking forward to her senior season. And this was a wonderful article that Todd put together. He decided to do a Q&A. He asked questions online, on email. She answered them the very same night, and it really gives tremendous insight into her success story, and it came from her.
Yep.
All right, a couple of events over the weekend, and our intrepid Jeremiah Shaver was there. I'm going to let him tell you about them. I know he's got some companion photos that James will put up.
Very good.
But we thank him for all his work, does a great job. We are so glad he's with the team. And since I said that, we'll be working like a dog this weekend when the 4th of July comes.
Yay, 4th of July. Not as bad as Memorial Day, but close.
No. If you think that it's not the livestock sale and you think that it's not Memorial Day, the smile is on your face the whole time.
Yes, exactly.
And seriously, we do mean this. I'm just not saying it. These are great community events.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
And we do like to cover them.
Yes, for sure.
All right.
Thanks, Pete. We appreciate you. All right. Well, Jeremiah's coming over. Let's hear from our friends at Vinton County National Bank.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
And we are back. Welcome back. And our good friend Jeremiah Shaver has stopped by to fill us in on some of the events that you covered over the weekend.
I did. I covered a couple events, Jen. And before we get into it, just want to see how your weekend went.
It went really, really well. A little busy, but that's okay.
Yes. It was a busy weekend. I did get a little time so I'm growing a garden. I don't know if I mentioned this before.
You mentioned it to me, but maybe not on the air.
Maybe not on the air. So I'm growing a little 8x10 garden.
That's good.
Got out there and cleaned it up a little bit and found a few things growing, Jen. Guess what I found?
Weeds.
I did find some weeds, but
dandelions.
Dandelions. I did have to do a little weeding, not too much. Yeah. But I found some baby cucumbers. Yeah, they're just itty bitty right now.
Oh.
But I found about 4 or 5 of them.
Yes.
And then I got a couple tomato plants, and one of them has 2 little tiny baby tomatoes on it. Probably, not even that big.
They're so cute. It's like little babies. It's so fun watching them grow.
It has been a lot of fun. The first time I've ever had a garden in the backyard there
okay.
where we live. We bought that house in 2018, and for years, me and my wife Kara talked about putting a garden back there, and I said, this is going to be the year.
This is the year we're going to do
So
it.
I got out there early in the year and kind of dug out an area and got everything planted, and so far it is doing great.
Well, and if you can do that, because we haven't had enough rain to make gardens grow. It was like the other night, was that Saturday we got that rain?
Yes.
And so Jamie and I have planted just a few things this year that we can maintain and whatever that we can use at the brewery and, whatever, tomatoes, peppers, things like that. And we're like, man, these things are just still, like they're just standing still. They're not doing anything. Like Sunday morning, I came out and I was like, oh, everything's doubled in size just because we got some rain.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch everything grow.
Because watering it is one thing,
Yes.
but rainwater, of course, yes.
It just makes a big difference.
Yes.
I know, a few weeks ago I went on vacation.
Mhm.
We had some rain while we were gone, but I had somebody water while we were gone too.
Uh-huh.
And when I came back, like everything was doubled in size.
You're like, oh, my babies are growing.
They are.
Yes.
I have 3 rows of corn, and a lot of the corn is probably up to my chest now.
Oh, see,
Already.
it's only supposed to be knee high by the 4th of July.
I know. So it's all doing very well, and I'm excited for it. I'll probably do it again next year. May make it a little bigger,
Yeah.
give it a little more room, because now as stuff is grown and it's getting bigger, it's getting a little crowded.
Yeah.
But hopefully it'll be okay.
Yeah.
I know the
Be great.
cucumbers. I kind of led them up a trellis of
Mhm.
sorts that I made, and I noticed over the weekend when I got in there to clean up, one of those cucumbers started to climb the tomato cage because it had spread out
He's like,
so
I need
far.
my room to grow.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll get into a little bit of what I covered here.
Okay.
So on Friday, June 23rd, the 3rd annual Pride at the Park celebration, hosted by the Jackson High School's Gay Straight Alliance,
Okay.
took place down there at Manpower Park,
Uh-huh.
and we have some photos from down there. It was, as you can see in this picture, it was a little rainy.
Yeah.
So I think that hurt them on Friday there. They had it Friday afternoon from 1 to 4 p.m. And here's some folks that are a part of that committee. It's these are executive members of the Jackson High School Gay Straight Alliance. From the left there, you have Shelby Vickers, Caitlin Kerr, Lacey Hauser, Eric Robertson, and then there on the end, that is Betty Miller, and she is the advisor for the club.
Mm-hmm.
And here's some folks that were set up with, I didn't write their names down here, but I have their names. They're set up with a booth. This is a church in Wellston that accepts, everybody.
Oh, that's novel. That's awesome.
Yes. And here's some folks putting on name tags. So they had this last year as well. These are name tags, and also on the name tags, they'd write their pronouns.
Okay.
That way everybody could get to know each other better.
Sure.
And is that all I had that I sent you? Okay. So they had that down there, and we're going to have a nice little story about that. I was able to talk to an individual who's openly gay, and they kind of told me about their struggle when they came out and how they've gone through that process over the last decade or so. So kind of have a nice story that'll be from that aspect.
Straight from the horse's mouth, if you will, for lack of better words.
And the advisor there, Betty Miller, she's a parent of a gay child, and she talked to me a little bit about that. And I just think it'll be a nice little feature story that we have down there. And June is Pride Month.
Yes.
So that's why they hold this event down there in the park. This was the 3rd one. I think the club has been around now for 4 years. And in the past, when I've talked, I went down there last year for this, and we talked to Betty and some of the members, and this is still relevant here. We'll read a little bit of what Betty had to say about the club, because we hadn't, the first year I think we may have missed it, or maybe we didn't get notified about it. So last year my story was kind of like talking about the club and about the event
In general,
and she said that the club had done wonders for the LGBTQ youth population at the high school, and she noted that 1 in 4 youth suffer from mental disorders or have experienced bullying. She said if one supportive adult steps up for a youth, it changes the trajectory of their life. So she thought that seeing the support from the community when they hold events like this
Yeah.
really helps those youth.
Well, and I think it's really cool because, Alliance is in the name of the club.
Mhm.
So it's the Gay Straight
Right.
Alliance. It's bringing these kids together of all walks of life and, making them allies. And I think that's fantastic.
Right.
And they can get together, they can talk it out, they can do whatever. So pretty
And-
cool.
Yeah, and she had also noted that one of the things that she thought was important is that students know they have a safe place not only at the high school but in the community.
Yeah. No, and I think
So-
that's very true.
But we'll have some photos and a story from that event.
Very good.
So on Saturday, went down. I know you had Marty Jacobs on
we
for the
did
Celebrate
love
Jackson
our sweet
event,
Marty.
and we got over there at 3:00, and here's what we had, Jen. We had this.
Oh no!
So we had a pop-up shower right as the event was supposed to start there at 3:00 down there at Jackson Middle School, there at the stadium, and everybody kind of huddled under these pop-up tents there, trying to stay dry as the storm passed through. So that caused a little bit of a delay
I'd say
in that event starting down there.
Ick.
But what we're talking about, the Rock, a non-denomination church, spearheaded a free community event for the entire community. It was called Celebrate Jackson, Rock the City.
Yeah.
And it featured free food, games for all ages, prizes, raffles, and more. And like I said, it was supposed to kick off at 3:00, but it probably didn't get underway until, I don't know, 3:30, 3:45 or so. But here's one of the little events, and you can see some of the folks in attendance. And this one was called here's our very own Matt McKee. He got picked out of the audience. He's doing kind of a football toss.
Yeah.
These two gentlemen were competing to win a pellet grill. And as you can see, the one gentleman,
Matt did not win.
Matt did not win, but the other gentleman
This
did
is
get
what
one
happens
in.
when you run your mouth for a living. You don't get to
Yeah.
exercise
Well,
anything else.
And we were talking about it this morning, and those footballs were real tiny.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to get a spin on
Yeah,
it there.
yeah.
So, but they went 2 rounds, and I think we had some other photos you could throw up there. You can see people getting dried up after the rain here.
Aw,
But it was
so fun.
just a fun community event. There was the MC and one of the refs
Yeah.
for the event.
That's Mrs. Marty.
Yes, I think her name's Katie or
Mhm.
Caitlin. But one of the
Kate,
picture that he had there, so this one they had they had 3 games that they did. This one was geared for the kids, and it was a patriotic it was like a patriotic run, and they had to sprint around and through these cones and collect the flags, the American flags there in the cones, and then run back as quick as they could, and whoever had the best time would win. So like that girl, I don't think she won, but the other girl won like $100.
Oh, nice.
But they were just giving out prizes and money left and right at
So
this
fun.
event. And here's another one of the games that they had. They called this Grandpa Ball. No, I don't think these folks were Grandpa Ball, but they called it that because they had to sit in the chair and throw
You know how hard that would be to sit in a chair and shoot a basket?
shoot the basket. Yeah. So I
That's-
can't remember what those folks won, but here's somebody else that won a flat screen TV.
Heck yeah.
But they had just a number of prizes, and Marty had got to me after the fact. He said attendance with volunteers around 300.
Whoa.
He was estimating, and this is the first time they've ever put this on
Yeah.
over there. But they gave away, flat screen TVs and money. I mean, this lady here is holding $250, and I think
Heck
she was
yeah.
doing either the football or the basketball game. And
I know they gave away a lot of prizes. They
They
gave away a
did.
motor scooter.
they gave away a motor scooter. There was drones and grills and
Yep.
lawnmower and table saw. And so here's Marty Jacobs. So after they got through with the 3 sport events, Marty gave a very stirring message,
Okay.
a religious message to those in attendance, and even asked those folks in attendance if they would do the sinner's prayer. And there was a bunch of people that got out of the crowd and came forward and recited that sinner's prayer and kind of, I guess, gave their life to God and Jesus. And
Nice.
so it was a very nice community event. And I talked to him after briefly as I was leaving. it was still going on because they had all those prizes to give away.
They did.
I'd been there 2 hours at that point, and my shoes were sopping wet.
Oh no!
So I had to go home and change those. But he said that estimated value with food given away and the additional small giveaway items, they gave away $7,500 to the community, and it was. And they didn't ask. There wasn't any admission cost or anything.
Yeah, it was just a
great
community
community event with him kind of giving that message. And he talked a little bit about he's 17 years sober, and kind of talked about how he found God and kind of invited. I guess the folks that kind of stepped forward and did that sinner's prayer were invited to the church the following morning. They were doing baptisms.
Oh,
so they had that as well. And he said that they hope to do this again in the future. And they also want to do smaller events, maybe at like local churches, to kind of do kind of a outreach. But it was a fun event, and we'll have a story and photos in the future edition of the paper.
super cool.
So there's a rundown of those events.
Well, awesome. Well, Jeremiah, see, you're always out and about.
Always out and about.
And busy.
Yeah, we got the 4th of July stuff coming up. I'm sure I'll be out and about. We haven't gone over the schedule for that, but I'm sure I will be worked a lot that weekend.
I can guarantee you're going to be out and about this weekend.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, very, very good. Thank you for spending your morning with us. And thanks to Pete and thanks to James for pushing all the right buttons. And thank you for all for tuning in. So we appreciate it very, very much. All right. We'll be back here tomorrow with, we don't know. All right. We'll be back here with somebody tomorrow. So have a great day. We'll see you then. Bye.
This just in.
The Telegram News has a new website.
thetelegramnews.com.
Same dedicated coverage.
Same trustworthy news with a brand new look.
Covering Jackson and Benton counties and surrounding areas.
Locally owned and operated, thetelegramnews.com has its finger on the pulse of the community.
Stay up to date on local events, high school sports, and breaking news.
thetelegramnews.com.
Subscribe today at thetelegramnews.com.
Check it out.